Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. The Springboks rotated, and it has cost them. They go down to Argentina, 29 points to 28. Manie Libbok missing a 79th, or actually an 80th minute penalty by the time he actually kicked it, to potentially grab the game from the jaws of defeat. And really poor performance overall, I think, from the Boks, who went off to such a good start. And they were out in the races. They went racing ahead and then allowed Argentina to come back, allowed them to get a grip in the game, and never put the game to bed. Really not good enough, it must be said, from the Boks. And lots to think about now from Rassie Erasmus. The Rugby Championship, obviously, still very much should be with the Boks. You know, it should be pretty straightforward to, in theory, go and win it, because, you know, regardless of the points over there, Argentina will move to 14 points. South Africa will take a losing bonus point. They'll go to 19, so it'll be 19-14. In theory, it is a bit of a final next week, because it will be between those two teams for who can win the Rugby Championship. New Zealand cannot catch the Boks, but Argentina can mathematically catch them if they were to win with a bonus point and deny South Africa a single point. So, bit of a not ideal from a South African perspective, because we could have wrapped up the Rugby Championship and gone to Mbombela next week with no pressure on us. And we've now put pressure on us because we didn't play well enough. And it's so annoying, because for a team that traditionally doesn't always start well, we started really well for a change. We went ahead. And then a yellow card changed the game as well. Let's be honest, that the yellow card to Kurt Janssen made a massive difference. And we were sloppy, really sloppy. Didn't make our chances count. And as a result, we've lost the game. And what's really frustrating, I think, is the fact we dominated that second half. You know, it never felt at any time, personally, that we were really being outplayed in that second half. I never really felt that you know, they were getting the better of us, and yet that is the reality. So, yeah, we're gonna break it down in just a bit, but I just wanted to get my initial thoughts about it. So let's go through it, shall we? So the Boks started off very well, and we are up to 17 points to 0, and yet still managed to lose from that position due to complacency. And I think complacency is going to be the biggest challenge for the squad, because they're a side that can be any team in the world. But tonight we saw that there is that possibility that if we switch off and we don't play at full 80-minute performance, we can be beaten by teams. You know, we almost came short against New Zealand, took two really big performances to beat them, and life was really good. And now we've been brought crashing back to reality, because we've made some changes and we've lost. And that's now going to be the narrative for the next few weeks, really, isn't it? It's going to be about, well, maybe we don't have the depth. It's always a funny conversation, because as soon as we win, it's all about this phenomenal depth. You know, we name the side on Tuesday and everyone's like, look at this depth we've got. And then we lose on the Saturday, and all of a sudden everyone's saying, well, we don't have the depth. Maybe we don't have, you know, the quality of players we do. And you don't want to get too, negative about a 1 point loss against an Argentina side who I think is actually really good. You know, I mean, the fact that they lost to Australia a couple of weeks ago, I thought that was mind-numbing when they did. But today they were worth their salt. They really were. You know, it was a position where they went down early, like they did against Australia, and then came back up and hit us hard. And we didn't really know what to do with it. You know, we were kind of sort of deer in headlights for a while. And I think that's a very big thing we need to try and overcome. And you know, there's going to be a lot of question marks, a lot of selections in terms of players who have been given a couple of chances, maybe haven't quite delivered. And when do you start to say, right, well, maybe it's just not going to happen? Because we've now rotated a couple of times, and some of the players who have been in those rotations continue to get chances and not really take them. So it's going to become a bit of a crunch time with Rassie Erasmus, because he's only got a certain amount of tests between now and 2027. He keeps talking about 2027. You know, we could have sent a stronger side. We could have sent a Peter Steph the Toy, a Bongi Manambi, a Damien Delendi, a Cheslin Colby. You could have sent some of those key players over there. You could have played Siakalisi, he was over there in the stands. But we didn't. We rotated, and he always talks about 2027 as the reason for that rotation. The problem comes when you lose, and if these players don't play well, what do you then do? Are you looking at these players and thinking, no, you know what, this player is going to be fine come 20 tests? Can you afford to give them 20 tests? Because while you're playing them, you're denying opportunity to other players. So it becomes a very interesting balancing act in terms of giving players chances, getting that experience into players that you've now sort of decided, and they've got a pretty big group of 55 players. You've got to decide where you give these tests to. Where are you giving the next 30, 40 tests? We've got about 12 a year. I think this was number 8 or number 9, I think it is, of 12 for the year. So we'll probably have another 12 next year, another 12 after that, so it's 24. And then we're into World Cup year, where you're probably only going to have about 6 maybe before the World Cup. So we've got about 30 tests, I reckon, between here and 2027. And that is why, Rassie Erasmus is very quick to try and rotate, try and find spaces to play these players in. Because he always talks about wanting to get 20 to 30 tests into players going into a major tournament. And that's going to be a major talking point now. Someone like Salman Murat, for example, he's under a lot of pressure, didn't have a great game today. And he's now sitting on 7, 8 tests. Now, do you keep giving him those tests in the hope that he's going to turn things around? We are now seeing a bit of a lock crisis. Nico Janssen van Rensburg, for example, has been called into the squad, has not been given a single minute. Does he now get an opportunity in Mobile? If he takes it, what do you do then? Ben Jason Dixon, I really highly rate. I think he will be a good Springbok. I think he's actually playing well tonight. But he's another one who hasn't maybe smashed the door down just yet. And there's also big discussions to be had about current players who maybe it's a discussion, are they going to make the next World Cup? Should they make the next World Cup? And I think something like Kubas Rana today, I don't think had his best game. Scored a really good try, but from the way he controlled the game, I didn't think was fantastic. And it's another interesting one. We've got so many scrum halves. You're looking to bring Manie Libbok in, for example. Jaden Hensel, Grant Williams, they're still pretty young in their test careers. Faf de Klerk currently injured means you have to give other people a chance. But, do you start to look at Kubas Rana and decide, well, if he's not going to make the next World Cup, we can't afford to give them test matches. And that's what I think is going to be the most interesting thing over the next few years is where do you draw the line between your best players, your players for the future, and winning things. We will win the rugby championship. I'm pretty certain about that. We're sitting on 19 points, Argentina on 14. They're 5 points behind us. We've still got about a 38-point advantage on them from a points difference point of view. So we're looking pretty good to win the rugby championship. We're going to go to Mbombela next week. We've got a really good record there, so I'm not worried about losing the rugby championship. I think we will wrap it up. But and I don't want to get too negative about one loss either. And I think that, it's a disservice to say that this is not a team we should never lose to, because Argentina are good. They are a good side. There's no doubt about that. And what I feel for is Manie Libbok, who's going to get the brunt of the criticism because he missed a kick. But at the end of the day, I mentioned a couple of players. He's going to be a player that they're now going to have the conversation about. They're going to sit there saying, we desperately want this guy to succeed, but it's just not quite happening. And at what point do you pull the plug on the experiment? At what point do you sit there and say, this isn't working and we have to make a change? Sasha Magama was backed ahead of him, and a lot of people, including me, have been saying, I still think he's got a lot to give. But when he comes on like today and he misses a penalty where he shouldn't be missing, then all of a sudden you've got to have these kind of discussions. So if you look at the game, for example, it really did ebb and flow because we raced ahead. 12 minutes in, we were 17-0 up. We then conceded a try as Santiago Carreras goes over, or Mateo Carreras rather, in the 14th minute, and Thomas Albanese adds the extras, and that was a bit of a wake-up call on how dangerous they can be. Kurt Lawrence then gets the yellow card, and they then go try Pablo Matera in the 21st minute, try Thomas Albanese in the 34th minute. Kurt Lawrence left the field at 17-7. He came onto the field at 26-17. So that yellow card made a massive difference. Thankfully for the Boks, Kubas Rana scored a try just before half time to just make it a little bit less make it look a little bit more acceptable, really, with a 4-point lead. And in the second half, the only points were 2 penalties in the box, one for Pollard in the 43rd minute, and one from Libbok in the 50th, and then one for Thomas Albanose. And the bomb squad worked from a scrum perspective, but we didn't suddenly have this massive dominance where we were winning penalty after penalty, breakdown after breakdown. And I think Argentina did very well to neutralize us, but I also just don't think we were quite at our best. So, in terms of some of the stats, it always tells an interesting story. But possession, for example, 40-60, more possession. We don't often have more possession and more territory. If we look at our attack, post-contact meters, very similar. We had more line breaks, almost twice as many ball carries, more passes, more turnovers won. You can see a few penalties despite the yellow card. Tackle completion was 74%. I thought tackling today was pretty poor. And I think tackle completion percentage is a bit of an outdated stat because we are looking at, defensive system where you have missed tackles. But I thought generally our tackling wasn't very good. And that needs to be addressed. The defense wasn't very good. Maybe that's probably a better way of saying it. It's not just about the tackling, but the defense wasn't very good. And I think the sad thing is I sit there thinking, who had a standout game? And I think so many players... Oxenchair had a standout game. I think that's probably who I can go stacking. Oxenchair had a standout game. Estevez was good when he came on. Can't really think of anybody else who was fantastic. I played a Fassi, blew hot and cold. I thought he had some really nice touches, some really poor touches. Lacanya similarly as well. I thought he generally had a very good game. Jesse Creel generally had an all-right game and also made a couple of mistakes. And it's a weird situation to be in when I can't think of too many Springboks who were really, really good and at the top of their game. And that, I think, is probably the biggest worry, is that we haven't had a performance like that in a while. Now, we don't need to panic just yet because we've got time. We'll probably bounce back next week. We'll win the rugby championship and life will all be good. But it does throw a bit of a warning out there, just to be very cognizant that complacency is dangerous. And, we know Rassi Erasmus will spin this, and he will use this to sit there and say, you guys are not unbeatable. You've just been beaten by Argentina, we've just lost number 1 in the world, I think, actually, if I'm not mistaken, with regards to the player ratings. I mean, not player ratings, the world ranking. So I think we just lost the number 1 ranking. And that'll be a bit of a sucker blow to the guys. And maybe that's what you need every now and again. You go and beat the All Blacks twice in a row, and you're thinking, fantastic, we're untouchable. You go to Argentina, and look, it was rotated, but there was a lot of World Cup winners in that side. It wasn't an outrageously young side. It wasn't the side we played against Portugal, for example. And we lost. So it's a warning sign. And I'm panicking. I'm upset. I'm bleak. I've stayed up at 1:15 in the morning. And I've just watched the Boks lose after watching the Lions lose the Currie Cup. I'm also a Manchester United fan and we drew. I'm also a Ferrari fan and we were terrible in qualifying. So I've had a really bad sporting day. And it's late at night. So I'm not panicking about the Boks. But I just think this is a timely reminder that any team can beat us, and hopefully that will then kind of sort of click a gear, and maybe some big decisions need to be made in terms of some players who are on the fringes getting opportunities and not quite taking them. What do you think? Which of these players do you think? Which of the players do you think for tonight where you think will be on the plane? Because I think they're going directly to the airport. Which of these players will be sitting on the plane going, I'm in trouble here. I'm not sure I'm sold in the squad. Let me know in the comments below. We're going to get into our player ratings very, very shortly. And it's going to be very interesting because, shame, when we lose, people are brutal with our player ratings. And I think that it's going to be a very interesting... first things first, we need a man of the match. I think that's the main thing. And... So I'm just making sure that this is all sorted. So we need a couple of man of the match nominations from a South African point of view. So I need some nominations for man of the match from a South African perspective. I think that Oxenchair is probably for me the main one, probably the only decent option over here. So I need a second man of the match. Who was your Springbok man of the match? I'm putting an Oxen Chair. Is there anybody else we're going to throw in there, by the way? Christian says Polly. What's vibrating here? Roger says Fussy. Christian says Kurbis. You see, I wouldn't give it to Kurbis. I thought Kurbis was poor, to be honest. Lots of see people saying Ox. A couple of see people saying Hondre. See Max and Manie, Jaden Hendricks saying. You got a lot of Argentina players, Argentina fans putting in Manie Libbok. It's a bit hectic. I'll put in Andre Pollard. I think we all know this is Oxen Chairs to win. I think he was the only one for me. He's just in the plane being like, well, you know what? I did my part. You got stuffed up. It wasn't on me. Wasn't me. And I think fair. To be honest, because I think he did play very, very well. And you must be so annoyed when you kind of put a performance like that in and you sit there going, you bastards. Like, could you just not? Could you just not, like, let one of my best games in the Springbok jersey go to waste? And just get my player rating sorted and then we can get going. It's late. We're going to go through them quite quickly. We all need to go to bed. Because we all need to go and just sleep on this. I think that's the main thing. We all just need to take a deep breath, go to bed, and we'll come back tomorrow. I think that is the main thing. We'll come back tomorrow and give this another go. Not the player ratings, but just, you know, the aftermath of the game itself. We will give another go. Right, so first up, it is Oxen Chair, who we need to rate, and he's so good. I'm actually sitting at like a 9. I think that he was pretty faultless. I thought he carried well. I thought he scrummed phenomenally. He put in a big shift. So let's go see what his final stats were. But yeah, I thought he was really good. Where's my game? Here we go. Let's go to Mr. Reteko in Chair. Right, 23 meters gained across 5 carries, 2 tackles from him, and 4 defenders beaten, a clean break, and very good scrum time. I'm probably going to give him an 8. Just feeling a bit down at the moment, really, in general. And the average user score apparently is an 8. If I gave him a 6, I just want to make sure this is working. What would it have been? It would have still been an 8. Okay, so enough people are saying 8. So we are all aligned, and it is working, which is the main thing. Malcolm Marks, good, I thought. One of the better players. Don't think that was very hard today, but wasn't his characteristic self. I think he is better off the bench. Look, he's a world-class player, and he is still coming back from injury. So I'm probably going to give him a 7. I think he was alright. I think he was decent. A couple of lineouts weren't great. Maybe you could mark him down on that. So I'll go with a 7, 6.4. Maybe I'm being a bit generous. I think 6.4 is probably quite fair. Thomas Totoy had an interesting game. I mean, he was part of a pretty dominant scrum. I didn't think he managed to do it. I mean, he got around the park. 6 tackles. None missed, 5 carries. I think it's a decent outing for Thomas, to be fair. I can give him a 7 alongside Malcolm. 5.8, I think is very harsh. Scrum-wise, never got dominated. We won scrum penalties quite often, and he was part of that. 5.8 just seems very harsh for Thomas Totoy. He's a tight head prop at the end of the day, people. Like, he's not going to be grabbing... you know, the headlines with, you know, this phenomenal, you know, yeah, tries and stuff like that. His core purpose was to scrum, and he scrummed very well. Sal Murat, now this is gonna be quite brutal, and I'm sitting at about 5 for him. You know, I think he's trying hard. I think he tries to get through work. I just think he's very ineffective at the moment. 7 tackles, 4 missed, 1 defender beaten, 4 carries. This is Roy Nokia, actually. Salman Murad had 5 carries. He made 9 tackles, not 1 missed. So I mean, his numbers aren't terrible, but I found him ineffective. And I thought as a captain, I didn't think he managed to get things under control as well. So I'll probably go with a 5 for him. 3.7. Oh, that's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. Look, I don't think he was a 3.7. I just think we're still waiting for that wow moment. Are we still waiting for that? Look, and also it doesn't help that he is competing with Evan Etzebeth. Therefore, is being compared to Evan Etzebeth. But yeah, Ruan here. Yeah, I mean, work hard, but as I said, missed slipped a few tackles, carries, probably a little bit better than Solomon, but I think pretty average. We're gonna give him a 6.5. So I've gone a bit low apparently. Yeah, I thought he was alright. I don't think he was phenomenal. But yeah, Marco Verstappen. I thought he had a chance today to really announce himself, and I thought he started well and then faded into the kind of the abyss a little bit. 3 tackles made, 2 missed tackles, 2 turnovers, 1. That was pretty good from him. 4 carries. Not explosive. I don't think, like, for example, Siakalisi wouldn't have watched that game and been nervous for his spot in the squad, and I think that's probably the biggest sort of reason I'll probably give him an average 6. If we go to Ben Jason Dixon, I didn't think Ben Jason Dixon. I thought he was really growing into the game. He made 3 tackles, which is not really good enough for somebody who's primed to there. 5 carries. So he didn't do much wrong. Didn't do much right. Give him a 6. I thought he was better than he was. I mean, 5.4. I don't think he was worse than Marco van Staden. But I don't think it's a strange game. Very, very. It felt like a game where you felt like you couldn't do much. I don't know. It was just, and we had more possession. Maybe that's why. Because maybe we're so used to seeing big tackles and turnover ball, for example, and maybe that's why we struggled. It's a weird thing. Maybe we struggled when we're on the front foot. And I mean, that's Pavisa. 1 bad pass, 10 carries, 6 tackles, 2 missed carries, missed tackles. He grew into the game, but didn't really make an impact. He wasn't the ball carrying threat that we want him to be. So I'll probably give him a 6 as well. Maybe I'm giving too many people a 6. A 6.1. I think that's slightly lower than Ruan Nokia, but higher than everybody else bar Marks and Ox, who was fantastic. Kubus Randak. Now I'm interested because I think it was Christian said that he had Kubus Randak as man of the match. I didn't like Kubus Randak tonight. I thought he was quite slow. I thought he was indecisive. He sometimes went right, then he went left. He scored a try, but in general, I didn't think he was particularly good. So I've gone with a 5.7. So I've gone a little bit lower, but yeah, people are being brutal. Somebody made a point saying not a good time to do the player ratings, but at the same time, we've got to do it while it's fresh in our mind. We can't. We can't. We can't change the format just because we lost and then come back tomorrow and because then we've forgotten about what things have happened. So maybe we'll have calmed down, but we also would have forgotten what's happened. So we've got to stick to our format, which is to do it immediately after the game. Pollard, I thought he started the game well. Didn't make a tackle today, which is not great. Beat 1 defender. He got a try assist. So I mean, the first sort of thing he looked quite with it, but for me, he kind of faded as the game went by. I don't feel like, and I think when we're conceding tries like that, needs to take control. And we haven't seen the general Pollard just yet this year. We know it's in there. But we haven't quite seen it just yet. So I'll probably give him a 5. 6.7. Maybe I'm being harsh. If I give him a 6, we'll go up to 6. Yeah, so maybe I'm being a bit harsh. Maybe a 6 is probably about fair. But I mean, as I said, the interesting thing is the big defenders that we're used to, for example, have got like 0 defensive stats, which is all very, very odd. And yeah, but let's go to Marcus Mapimpi. Tried hard. Did Mapimpi tried really hard? It was maybe not as effective as he liked it to be. Slipped 4 tackles. Beat 2 defenders, 6 meters gain. I'll probably give him a 6. He was reasonable on attack. It was probably the better of the 2 wings. Well, Cody Arnson today, one of his worst games in a Bok jersey. Lekanya, decent. I thought he defended really well. He was very, very good in defense. I'm going to give him a 7. I need to give somebody a 7 because I need to... it's 5.8. Yeah, maybe... See, I don't know. I was kind of just giving everybody 6s, wasn't I? I thought he defended well. I think on attack, he didn't have the best of games. A couple of nice defensive reads. Yeah, this is brutal. Jesse Creel, Hill, it's interesting to see. Right, his game reads as follows. 3 tackles made, 1 missed, 1 turnover, 1 try, 3 defenders beaten, 43 meters gained, 2 passes, 2 clean breaks, 1 offload. I'll give him a 6. I don't think it was the strongest game. 6.5. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I thought that he was going to get a much lower rating. People tend to pile on to Jesse, especially when we lose. We'll go to some of the ratings over there just to see what everybody else says. Killian voted him a Pimpy for a 6. June Birch said him a Pimpy 7. A couple of the people saying, yeah, people are between a 6 and a 7 for JP Now said he was terrible. I don't think he was terrible. I don't think he was phenomenal, but I don't think he's terrible. I'm surprised that Pollard's sitting with a 6.7, in all honesty, with Lacania I'm sitting at 5.8. Kurt Lawrence, as I said, I don't think Kurt Lawrence had a particular. I mean, what did he do today? He didn't. Yeah, this is woeful, by the way. 44 meters gained, no defenders beaten, no clean breaks, no offloads, not try assist, a yellow card, 1 tackle attempt, and he missed it. Yeah. I don't even think he actually took a ball out the air either. I mean, maybe 4 sounds harsh, but I mean, I was telling to somebody on the during this. I see messages on the live stream while I was live, and I just thought he was nowhere today. I thought that a lot of people were saying in the live chat, where's Cheslin? And I think damn right, where is Cheslin? He's a phenomenal player, Kurt Lawrence, and I'm never gonna, I'm not gonna worry about him. But I thought today he's just nowhere. He's kind of like a ghost. Could have had Casper out on the wing. Fussie's going to be an interesting rating because I thought Fussie was all or nothing. I thought he had some really nice touches and some really bad touches. I thought he defended well when he needed to. I'll probably give him a 6. I think, and this might be harsh. He'll probably be sitting at a 5.9. Okay, so yeah, maybe I'm not alone. Yeah, I thought he had some good moments and some bad moments. I don't think he sort of, the problem is, I think maybe also, in comparison, for example, we've been very used to the shirt Fussie recently. Today, we kind of saw the Fussie, a little bit of the Fussie of old, but, where he just sometimes tries a bit too hard. I think, when he lost that ball in contact, about 3 or 4 or 5 meters from the line, that kind of thing was frustrating, but he also had some really nice, breaks where he put some impetus into our attack. He was pretty good under the high ball, but relatively ineffective. So, yeah, let's go to the bench. John Hendrik Wessels off the bench pretty late. 5 carries from him in his 11 minutes. Give him a standard 6, 5.8. Gerst Dennekamp, 1 carry. Look, be fair, the scrums are pretty good. I'll give him a 6. Vincent Koch actually might even... Wait, I'm confused. I'm still in the same player. I'll give him a 6. I mean, I think he had nothing else bad to do. I mean, 5.4, for example. I mean, who's sitting there rating him a 5 or 4, for example? Like, what's the guy supposed to do? He came on, we won scrum penalties. Similar to Vincent Koch, came on, didn't really see him carrying like we sometimes do, but didn't miss a tackle, won a turnover, got his scrums done. I think it was actually a decent cameo from him. I mean, 5.8, I find very, very harsh. Earburn was busy. One of the better players, but... didn't actually do much. He was kind of like, he looked busy. I mean, he had a nice turnover. I think it was 2 high balls he got ahead, but we didn't see him carry and we didn't see him tackle. And I thought it was, so I think a 7. It sounds like a weird one considering I don't think his output was particular. I just think he was very. I don't know if it's the TV showed him a lot. Maybe I'm being harsh. I think 7's probably a better bet actually. Albert Lowe off the bench. Wasn't as it was a bit more quiet than previous years, but again didn't do much wrong. Probably give him an average 6, 6.4. Yeah, I think he was. I think what we're seeing is he's good off the bench. To be fair, I think we are seeing that this is where he should be coming in. That he should be coming on the bench in that bottom squad. I think that Brian's saying scrum's poor when Steenekamp came on. We won 2 scrum penalties. I think that's a bit harsh. Yeah, look, I mean the last penalty from Gerard, but I mean you got stuck at the bottom of a rack. I mean that happens. He made a good tackle, and there were 3 players that got onto him very quick. You could see he tried to roll. He got caught in between. I mean, I'm not going to slaughter the guy for it. It's like 2 people missed tackles before then. So who's at fault? The people that missed the tackles, or the guy who made the tackle and then got caught at the bottom of the ruck? I mean, yeah, Kwaka was quiet in comparison. When he got the ball, you needed to get the ball to him more, to be honest, because when the first couple of touches out in the wing, he looked it looked better. Didn't miss the tackle though. 6 carries, 1 defender beaten. Yeah, not much from Kwaka. 6.3, I think it's fair. I thought Jaden, for me, he's a starting scrum off. I don't think he should be coming off the bench. A couple good, couple bad. Probably give him a 6. I preferred him to Kubis. I thought that when we were on the front foot, I thought he was much more decisive. I felt when he had a ball in hand. He as I said a couple of times, I just felt a bit frustrated with Kubis. Almost didn't know what he wanted to do. He was a bit indecisive. Move to the left, move to the right. And I just think we sometimes didn't quite have a plan on attack. The first few minutes, we had a great plan and we were executing that plan and we were scoring tries for fun. And then after that, it kind of like we almost sort of stopped playing. And then Manie came on and had a really nice pick first up, and we were like, here we go. Thank you very much. Made 100% of his tackles, missed the penalty right towards the end. 90 meters gained, 14 passes. Yeah. Probably have to give him a 4 from my side. 3.3. So him and who else with that 3? Was it Salmon? Yeah, 3.7. Tough times, boys. Tough times. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with Manie Libbok. You know what? Release him. Give him back to Dobbo. Dobbo will give him a big hug. He'll start at 10 for the Stormers, and he'll get back to cooking. Take him to the end of the year tour. I just think at the moment he's a player who's not played enough rugby. I thought in general player, I thought he was alright. He didn't do anything wrong. And it's very simplistic to say, for example, he made us lose because, what do you want to pile on there? The scrum, for example, 5 meters out where we conceded a free kick, up at the Fassi dropping the ball 2 meters or 3 meters away from the try line. The missed tackles when we conceded tries. Marco Starden, for example, slipped the tackle that cost us a try. Marcus Pimpy conceded a try right in front of him. So it is it's very, very easy to go and say he kicked the ball dead and he missed a penalty and therefore he cost us the game, because that was the last or the final stages of the game. But again, we don't concede that try in the 17th or 18th, or what's it, the 27th or 28th minute, and with that's 7 points away, we win the game. So I don't like that that whole concept of you pile on the last one. I mean, it's like Geordie Barrett didn't lose All Blacks the World Cup. Again, it's too simplistic. It is far too simplistic. I do think that we now see that from a place kicking point of view, it's just not viable to have him there anymore. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I mean, he strikes the ball so well, but it's unacceptable. You can't miss kicks like it. If you are the designated goal kicker in a situation like that, you cannot miss that. That is the reality. And I think the biggest problem for him is he knows Pollard doesn't miss that, and he knows Sasha doesn't miss that now. And that's the issue, is that he's now sitting there going, they're not going to pick me ahead of those two in the press situation because they've done it before. Look, Pollard also missed. He was 80%, so there was a miss in there. But a kick like that, I think the main thing is that Pollard would probably not miss that, and Sasha probably wouldn't miss that. And I think that's the big thing that Manie's got is the problem is, and he'll know that, and he'll be sitting there on the play. And again, just get him back to the Stormers, get him playing under Dobbo again, get him playing with a smile, send him to the Lions. We'll sort him out at the top here. But it's becoming a tough thing for him to come back from. Now, this is an interesting one here, because I think Rusty got a few things wrong. I genuinely do. I do think he got a few things wrong. I would have started Manie Libbok, by the way. If we were going to go with him, I would have started him. And I would have started Sia. I thought we lacked leadership. To go over to Argentina and have Salmon captain is not ideal. And this is not necessarily even just about Salmon himself. you could have made. I'm a bad example because he's a great player, but it wasn't the time to be trying a new captain, not in Argentina. And you could say yes, it's a great experience for him and stuff like that, but there's a difference between experiences you can learn from, and I think there's experiences that this now affects him. This can make a player, and I think that a player who's playing for his place shouldn't be the captain. I think that's the main thing for me. I think he's a natural captain. I think there's no doubt about his leadership abilities. He's well respected in the Stormers camp. He's captain there. He's well respected in the Bok camp. He's captain there. So I don't think anyone's doubting his captaincy abilities. But he's fighting for his place at the moment. And you're now asking the guy who's desperate to try and prove himself as a player, well, he's also the captain. And there were other options in that side. And I would have started Sear. And let Salman Murat start a game where he's not captain. He's now done it 3 times. I think. Twice. 3 times. Twice. And against Portugal, it's fine. You're playing against Portugal. But against Argentina, I just felt we were missing that leadership. I felt we were missing Sear. Yeah, I thought we were missing Bongi. I think we were missing Evan in the first half. At Peter Steph, I felt we lacked leadership. And I felt in the end, looking back at it retrospectively, which you should never do, I just think it was maybe the wrong call, to be honest. So I'm going to give Rassie, I think I got it wrong. I'm going to give him a 5. You've been giving him 9s and 10s. Well, I'm not far off. Yeah, I think you got it wrong at the end of the day. Look, it's an experience. It's a lesson learned. Again, we're not going to lose the rugby championship because of it, but it's a game we should have gone and won. And I think we could have done the entire. We could have gone undefeated. We could have. We could have won all 6 rugby championship matches. Now we can't, and it's annoying. And I think that. I think if you take a Bongi Manambi over, and I think if you start a Sia Khaleesi, and maybe take a Chase and Colby over, for example, we maybe probably win that game. As I said, I felt we lacked leadership. I think that was probably the biggest problem. And the more you think about it, I think the more it does make sense that we did lack leadership. So, the super chat earlier, so Pablo Happy saying, I hear you, but the place kicking is a huge problem. No, there's no doubt about that. And that's the frustrating thing. And that's why I think that's what we're saying, where Manie Libbok cannot be kicking for goal for the Boks. This has happened too many times now. How do you get it right? Can he play at 10 with Sasha at 12 or Sasha at 15 and that becomes an option? I think it does become an option. But if you go to the Stormers, for example, and changes something fundamentally and starts to kick at 95%, then fantastic. And the BMT argument, it's an interesting argument because, he slotted that kick, for example, after extra time against La Rochelle to send them into the quarterfinals. I think it was last year in the Challenge Cup. He slotted that kick to beat Ulster in the semi-finals to get into the URC. So it's not like he's never ever slotted BMT kicks. And yes, I know there's a difference between test matches and URCs and stuff like that, but a URC semi-final and a match in Argentina, I don't think it'll be a massive change in the pressure out there. Obviously, a much more hostile crowd in Argentina. But he's an enigma, is Manie Libbok, because, and maybe this is kind of what stunted his initial development as a player. When he's on, he's on. He's phenomenal. He is absolutely phenomenal. But, tonight, you look at that kick, you look at the kicking to dead for touch, and you're just like, can't make those mistakes. And you want players to be bold, but you kind of need that safety, don't you? You need that, well, I can try and get us on that 5-meter line, or I can take my medicine and put us 10 meters back. And maybe that was the play, because he puts us 10 meters back, maybe we go and score a try, and you just need to worry about that kick right at the end. So, the game's in small margins like that. And, yeah. So, we're going to wrap up there, people. We've been rambling for a long time here. And it's no good to just keep rambling. So let's wrap it up, and we will reconvene tomorrow, shall we? I think that's probably a good idea. Please do smash like on the video. Oh, by the way, I got to award the man of the match poll. Sorry, to Oxen Chair. So Oxen Chair has walked that as expected, and 79% of the votes. So Ox, thank you for pitching up. Everybody else is not going to have a very fun flight home. And we'll post these player ratings tomorrow, so you can go and review and see what happened to them. But I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to cricket match in 7 hours. So I need to go and get some sleep. I've got to be at the cricket field in literally about 6 hours' time. So it's just not ideal. So people, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel.